Welcome to Third to First Youth Baseball Show. We're Tim and Eric, bringing you our perspective, being as we are both coaches and parents. We take a look at and discuss youth baseball from many angles and perspectives. Be sure to find us online at thirdtofirst.com and on Instagram at thirdtofirst_podcast. Make sure to subscribe.
What's up, Eric?
Hey, what's up, Tim? Here we are again. Our special guest today is Jack Impellizzeri. Did I get that right, Jack?
You did. You did.
Because I heard you walk out if it's wrong.
It gets ugly.
Jack's a diehard Yankee fan, but we'll let him in the building anyway. A diehard fan of all things MLB and the game of baseball. He lives in the Conejo Valley in California since around 2006 and has coached at Thousand Oaks Little League since 2016, starting from the humble beginnings of T-ball all the way through the majors division where 12-year-olds play. He's managed 3 all-star teams and took a travel team to Cooperstown, New York. I went a couple years ago with my son. I didn't coach, but that was the best.
Pretty awesome.
Totally
Pretty awesome place.
A great place. Recently, he retired from coaching. Now he enjoys playing golf, cooking, and baking bread. Baking bread, you have like one of those
Sourdough, man. I do. I got a
sourdough
starter. Man. I feed it once a week, and it's a double-edged sword, though, because my pants don't fit. Because I keep
when the zombies come, all them skinny people are dead. We're gonna survive. In his professional life, Jack, you're an actor, right?
Correct.
All right. Appearing in numerous television shows, theater productions, and TV commercials. One of his favorite ads was in 2005 when he was cast in a Wheaties commercial to reenact the 1988 Kirk Gibson best home run ever in the World Series.
I got a story about that. I'll tell you.
We want to hear it. In his personal life, Jack's married, 2 children, and is looking forward to being a dad in the stands. Does that mean you?
We'll see about that.
Does that mean you retired?
He's going to be dragging.
What's that?
I can't call it retire if I never got paid for doing it.
You know, what's that mob phrase? Every time I get out, they pull me back in. You're not done yet. Well, thanks for being with us. We appreciate you.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
You're talking about how you're just in love with Major League Baseball in general. I mean, what's your back? I mean, how that's just a kid growing up. Did you grow up back east? You're a Yankees fan?
No, so that's another story I got for you. No, I grew up out here in the San Fernando Valley, but my father was from Brooklyn, New York.
Hey, my father's from Brooklyn, too.
Brooklyn, New York.
Sheepshead Bay.
Okay, he was from Bensonhurst, and a diehard Brooklyn Dodger fan. So growing up, everything from real little was Dodgers, and my father would play baseball with me, throw the ball in the backyard, roll the ball, play catch. Really had a big baseball influence with my father. Right. But my sister and I, every summer, my parents wanted to get rid of us. So what did they do? They put us on an airplane, and they sent us back east. And my mother, she's from Scranton, Pennsylvania, so northeast. Mm-hmm. And so every summer from like maybe 4th grade to about 7th grade, my sister and I would get on an airplane, just the 2 of us, and go back east and spend about 2.5 months in Scranton, PA, in New York, New Jersey. And so all my family back there are all Yankee fans.
We used to do a similar thing. We used to go as kids, same thing. We used to get flown back east. And
so I go back there. I'm this impressionable kid, and all my relatives are like, "Hey, Jackie, go home and tell your daddy the Yankees are number 1." They bought me jerseys, hats, took me to the game. So then I would come back, and I'd be like, "Hey, Dad, go Yanks!" And it killed him. Yeah. So I got to tell you, though, my son, he made sure he got his revenge because my son's a diehard Dodger fan.
Attaboy, here. Right?
So you got to go to a lot of those games in the 80s?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So you saw like Donnie Baseball. And
that was the team. It was Don Mattingly and Willie Randolph and Mike Pagliarugo and
I saw all those
Rick
guys
Cerrone, Dave Righetti.
Bringing us back, baby.
The Negro. It was great.
It was great. I loved, and there's something about the classic stadiums that bringing back,
Yeah, and obviously Yankee Stadium has that tradition.
I've been to about it.
The lore.
I've been to 19 of them. My goal is to go to every major league ballpark, and I was doing great till I got married and had 2 kids,
And then
it took a hiatus. So, but they're older now, so we're talking now. We can travel with them and do things. So
yeah, and they probably want to go too, right?
Well, yeah. So now I took them to Fenway actually on this trip to Cooperstown.
Fenway Park.
And it was great. My second time there, but they're for it's awesome. I Yankee fan still, but what a great stadium and a great atmosphere for baseball.
It really is.
Yeah.
I mean watching a home run go over the big green monsters.
Yeah, well, it's one, Fenway, Wrigley Field,
Best.
and even some of the more recent builds like Camden Yards and what they got, the Jake. There's some great places, great baseball.
AT&T, is that what it's still called for the Giants?
Oh, yeah, that place is great.
Beautiful. Get out in the bay and wait for a ball to come out on your kayak.
The backdrop, it's beautiful.
It's beautiful.
Great place to see a game.
It's funny in Encino Little League they have a rock wall that's it almost looks like AT&T, and they have the little guys have a home run derby there, and it gets hit into the LA River.
That's off Havenhurst.
Yeah, exactly.
So check this out. When I was a kid growing up in the San Fernando Valley, my father sent me to Rick Roden. He had you guys remember Rick Roden?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Okay, he had a baseball camp, a summer camp, Valley Cardinal baseball camp, and it was at Encino Little League there.
It's a great
and
little
I spent a couple weeks in the summers doing camp there.
Beautiful campus there too.
Awesome.
And then who has Reggie Smith has his
Reggie
academy
Smith is
there,
over
right?
there right now. Yeah, Spencer went there for when he was coach pitch.
Yeah,
single
I remember.
AA.
Yeah, I remember when Spencer was going
I
there.
mean, you're a kid and you get to go there, and they brought in major league ball players and coaches, and what a thrill to meet these guys when you're
So cool.
you idolize them as a kid.
Right.
So yeah, I had baseball in my life as a young kid, and it kind of stuck with me. There's a point in my life I played baseball. I played Little League at Chatsworth Junior Baseball League growing up, and then around age 13, 14, I wasn't getting any better. I was really good, I think, up until then. And then I just wasn't getting better. I kind of plateaued.
Right.
Kids were getting better. The game was speeding up.
Sure.
And then all my childhood friends in my neighborhood that I grew up with, they were all really into basketball.
Right.
And so we started, and we had the middle school near our house that had the 8-foot rims.
We had the same
so
thing.
We would go play dunk ball.
you
We
could
thought we
dunk
were
it.
Michael Jordan, Charles Barkley. I mean, it was...
Oh, we did this. We did the same thing. And if you had a guy that was like 6'4", he looks like Shaq out there.
Right. So we had a ball, and that's what we were doing most of our time at that age then. So baseball, I kind of got a little separation.
Well, it's a little bit easier too, right? When you're a kid, because you don't need a diamond, you just need a hoop.
A ball, a hoop,
and a ball and a
couple
hoop. So
friends.
I think we all experience that. You kind of start shifting towards the sports that are just a little bit easier as far as the details of the location and the equipment and all that stuff.
And what your friends were doing.
What your friends are doing.
Plus, you could do one-on-one. You can't do a one-on-one.
Or
baseball,
you could just shoot by yourself too.
If
right?
we go shoot. If we wanted to have an over the line game, which we did at that same school, but you would need, like you say, you'd need like 6 kids, 3-on-3. But 1-on-1, just go out.
We used to go out there and shoot, but we would bring street hockey stuff too, because you could play either one out there. But then we'd always end up playing some baseball too over the summer.
Yeah.
So is Nick your oldest?
No, Nick is my youngest.
Youngest?
I have a daughter who is 15. She played a little softball. And then TOGSA, Thousand Oaks Girls Softball League, and then she got out of that, I want to say around the 10U.
Did you coach there, or was Nick? Did you ever see yourself getting back on a diamond up?
I did. I coached my daughter.
Oh, I love that look on your face.
Well, she was the oldest, so she came first, and it was a girl, and I was like, well, she's going to play ball. So I got the softball started right away, and I got involved. For me to get back on the diamond, not until, after playing basketball, get back to that. Then I went out for high school, and I went out for the baseball team. I didn't make the team. And so I went out for the basketball team and I made the team. And then I played 4 years of basketball in high school. And then I didn't get back into baseball probably till after college. And when I got back into it, I think it's just the roots of having it when I was real young.
Oh, yeah.
And being, and it's in there. And having that relationship with my father, that was a big connector with me and my father, was baseball, as I'm sure it is with a lot of boys in the world. And once I got back into it, Tim, I started playing softball.
Oh,
I
really?
went back and I
Yeah.
played years and years of softball with industry writers, comedians, actors. We played up in Studio City. We had a game every week.
Isn't that great, too?
It was great. And I was real into it. And then I had the kids, and then I started coaching them, and that was me getting my fill and my fix for baseball.
Right.
Through,
Yeah.
through
And
them. And then I'm getting too old to play. Like last time I played softball was probably about 7 years ago. You know, and I got plantar fasciitis. I can't walk. My shoulder. I might have to have rotator cuff surgery.
No. Yeah,
Jack, we're walking in today into the studio, and Tim and I are gingerly going down the stairs, and there's only 4 or 5 stairs, right? But we're laughing like all of our friends north of 40. I don't care what kind of shape you're in. If you're a triathlete, you're
Yeah.
You're going
and you're gasping. You're gasping for air.
Like, how am I out of breath going down 4 stairs?
When Spencer was really little, he thought it was a requirement to sit on the couch with a grunt. So, that's just what people do.
Right.
So he would sit down and go,
It's called getting old, man.
Yep.
Just wait, right?
Oh, yeah.
So, like, when Nick started playing T-ball, I mean, did you just jump into, like, managing? You said you started, was it the first year of T-ball? And then you eventually got on some committees and things like that.
So, yeah, the T-ball thing, through Toll, it was kind of, you get a flyer. At least when my kids went to school, they got a flyer in their take-home folder.
And for those of you that don't know, Toll is Thousand Oaks Little League.
Yeah.
And so they got a flyer at school that said, hey, sign-ups, get your friends. Mm-hmm. And so he's in school, and then we had some friends there, doing drop-off and pick-up. You're meeting some of the dads. The kids are playing. And so, hey, you got the flyer. So we had about 5 or 6 kids. And a lot of them were siblings of my daughters.
Oh, really?
Okay,
Yeah, so that's how we
kind of already knew.
Right. So then we kind of knew the parents, and it kind of organically happened. Okay, let's get our kids into T-ball. And then because of what I do for a living, I had the most flexibility at a lot of these guys. And so and I want to be involved with my kids. And my father, I love him to death, but he was never coaching me. Mm-hmm. He was never like how I am with my kids. And maybe that's why I am the way I am with them.
That's funny.
I don't
my
know.
dad was the same thing. Went to everything, but never actually coached us in anything.
Yeah, so we started doing it, and one thing leads to another, right? You get involved, you meet people, and that's just my personality. That's how I'm here. Because
that's how I met you.
That's right.
I met it was like a tryouts, that one.
Right.
I didn't know anybody there, and you were the one that like sort of took me in and told me what was going on and all that stuff. So
well, that's how the waterfall happens, right? Like I was in T-ball, and Tim's like, "Oh, Eric, I think you got more than that. You can coach." And I didn't actually really play baseball outside of stickball, and I never played organized baseball. So to me, it was like a whole new hobby, right? And then my boys, that's all they ever want to play now. So it was pretty cool. But that's what it's all about, right? Getting people involved.
And the right people involved.
And making sure the wrong people don't get to do it again when they
listen. I think what people lose sight of a lot with youth sports, and from my experience, is that it's for the kids.
Mm-hmm.
And what I hear a lot,
absolutely,
and it always stuck with me with certain coaches and certain is that when they would say, if I'm coaching against you, this has not happened between us, but I heard I'm going to beat Tim.
And Tim,
right.
I'm going to
Jack
aren't actually playing, right?
Exactly. That's exactly right. I go, what are they talking about? Like, this is the kids. Like,
I want to take it to Tim.
A friend of ours who was a manager, Uncle Rico.
Yeah.
After he had won his team, his kids had won like I don't know, what was it? A minors championship.
Yeah, minors championship.
We're there watching, and he came up to me and he goes, "You got one, I got one." And when our kids won the champ, I sat in the dugout while they did the dog pile.
Yeah.
I just
let them enjoy it.
That was not my moment.
It was funny when that happened. And remember, that was actually my very first time coaching ever. This guy graciously teaching me, and what he had said to me was, you understand kids. I could teach you baseball, and he did. And that moment happened, the last out, right? And the kids started dogpiling. I was there with another coach, and we just hugged each other. Tim was sitting on one end, and me and the other coach were on the other end. We were just sitting there, just taking in the moment and watching how excited these kids were. But the best part about that championship was 10 minutes after it was done, you know what? Both sets of kids and teams, they're running around playing tag.
Great.
They don't care. It doesn't matter who won. They're just kids having
It
fun.
almost meant more to the coaches than it did to the kids.
That's like
Right.
to your point,
Right.
like, you know.
Yeah.
So what are we doing here? And again, what he said to you, which is a great compliment, is that hey, you understand the kids.
Right.
I can teach you the baseball because at the end of the day, I always felt this is what it's about. Just knowing my history.
Right.
I didn't play baseball in high school.
Right.
I played baseball up until high school, and that's going to be a lot of it for a lot of these kids.
Right. Right.
There's only a few of the kids. Now
Well,
you ask, you ask the parents. You got kids going. You got
He's
kids
got
going to the
scholarship to
MLB.
Syracuse,
But the reality is,
if
you take the league of 500 kids or however many kids are in the league, what percent? Like
Very small
10% is going to play
high school ball.
That's right. And you can just keep whittling it down, whittling it down. So I don't want to hear how great and again, that's not what it's about.
It's not about that. And some of your best players just say, hey, you know what, I don't want to play anymore. It's okay.
Right.
It's fine. And parents have to be okay with that. My son said to me one time, and Tim knows him very well. He's a baseball fanatic. He hits 1,000 balls a week. That's just the kid he is, right? But he, as a joke, one day, it was my birthday. He said, what if I want to quit baseball, Dad? I said, that's fine. And he looked at me, he's like, really? I said, yeah, because you know what? It's not my life. It's your life. If you tell me you want to do ballet, and then he almost punched me in the face, but I said,
but
it's whatever you want to do is fine. I would only ask that for yourself, you take a day or two and think about it so that you aren't doing something rash without giving it some thought.
I know you were joking about the ballet, but I got to tell you, I knew a guy who played Division I football.
Did ballet.
He did ballet, and he said the reason I was so good with the footwork and everything else, that he was a receiver, whatever he was, he did ballet.
Right.
So again, it's about the kids. I love what you said. It's not your life; it's their life.
Yeah.
And we just want the best for our kids, whatever that may be. I think.
I mean, that's the conversation. Like the two of us, like totally. That's part of the reason we started this, was because we wanted to talk about that little league environment, not only with the rec ball environment, with the kids, and every conversation we have, some adults come into it, and then that's where it gets convoluted as far as like it's their experience. Back to what you were saying.
Well, I think you probably know this, but the biggest problem with the little league and the coach and youth sports and coaching is not the kids.
No.
Oh, never.
It's the parents, and it's having to manage the parents.
That's where you're
and
managing.
not the kids.
The kids are out there. All you have to do when they're real young, right, like 5 to 9, is please don't touch each other. And you have to have a
boundary.
You have to have one coach / parent that's in there making sure they're not hurting each other, swinging off each other's arms, stuff like that. But the baseball stuff takes care of itself, and they're out there having fun, and they don't usually care 5 minutes after it if they won or lost. It's the parents, as you said, Jack, that need managing, and that's managing the stands is a huge, I think, theme. If for folks that want to get into coaching, managing, that's a big consideration. You're having a lot more difficult conversations with adults than you would have imagined.
Right. But you learn as you go. See, so year 1, 2, or 3, you don't know who the problem parents are going to be. But by year 3, you go, okay, I love the kid, but I can't draft them because I have to deal with the parent.
Right.
And this is a volunteer position.
Right.
I don't want to deal with the parent because you couldn't pay me enough. I'm not going to pay. But so you just kind of draft accordingly. Yes. And I always take a worse player with a better family because I could teach him baseball. And
that's all part of the pre-draft thing. Is like okay, this family that love the kid. The dad maybe not so much, or the mom,
so funny.
Or somebody's yelling, somebody's coaching from behind the backstop.
Right.
We've talked about that. It's just.
But you don't know that the first few years you're at the league.
Right, you don't,
when you come to a league, it's like
you had to come through and see. Okay,
no, my first draft at Toll,
don't mention any names, Tim. Just
I am not mentioning any names.
We all,
but there were 2 kids that I picked, and the room was silent, right?
And you didn't know why.
Well, I didn't even really notice until
somebody said no do-overs.
No. I talked to one of the other managers later, and he was like, everybody was so relieved when you dropped it. And I'm like, you're telling me now?
Haze the rookie, right? Yeah, right. Haze the rookie.
Yeah, it was
manager.
totally hazing, but
like no wonder he was still on the board. He was still available.
Right. And it's also like you see like kids, they're up these eval numbers
Right.
we give the kids, first round, second round.
Right.
There's like a fourth round, third round kid, and you're down in the sixth round, and that third round kid is still
there.
still on the
there's a
board.
problem.
reason.
And you ever have those conversations? All of us have probably had them. Now, let's say you're in a room with all veteran managers, right? There's no rookies there. They've done it for at least a year or two. And before the draft starts, maybe the president or the registrar, whoever's running it, says, "Okay, are we going to talk about so and so and so and so?" There's 4 problem families, and one of you has to take one. Everybody has to take one.
Yeah. That
And that happens like pre-draft when you've got a bunch of experienced managers in there. But it's the let's be honest, it's the draft where you've got a rookie manager or two that says, "Oh yeah, he's so and so is ranked as a second rounder. He's going to take him." You're just crossing your fingers.
Right.
Yeah, that's what happened with me than 12-year-old.
Yeah.
I mean, I had a really difficult season. I don't know if you ever heard about that, but I was getting threats, weekly threats.
From a parent.
From a parent.
It's
They're no
youth
longer at
baseball
toll.
people.
They're no longer at
good.
Toll,
Good.
so.
They shouldn't be.
Jesus.
I was getting threats. I was getting.
I remember when this was happening, he would call me. I'm like, "No, you're not serious." He's like,
I mean, the whole board was involved and all that stuff. He actually, early in our season, I don't think we'd played any games yet. He put his hands on one of our assistant coaches.
Yeah, then he should not
kind of
be.
a maniac.
He should not be in the league.
not be around youth sports.
Again, that's not what this is about.
no.
Yeah.
Right.
And, exactly. Because, I would get, you want to give every kid a chance.
Of course.
And then after the game, you get a text, not everyone's a pitcher. It's like.
Here's the thing I often ask is like, what do you win?
Yeah, what do you win?
And the room goes silent.
Right.
I mean, I got trophies.
We all
from
got
winning.
the trophies.
Listen, some of them say first, some of them say third,
Right.
some of them say
Same.
they're all in the same
Better
spot.
luck next year.
They're all in the same
They all
spot.
have the same amount of dust on them.
That's right. It doesn't matter.
No.
It does not matter.
You know what, Matt? Oops.
You're good.
I know. No,
Tim just hit his microphone. He's
Are you,
so
are
excited.
you part Italian? You talk with your hands a lot.
My wife always says to me, "Hey, you know what? I don't
I
want
just
you
got
to."
back from Italy. Maybe I
He
really
did get just back.
Wait,
from
wait.
Italy.
Where'd you go? I don't want to get on a tangent, but
no,
where-
no,
No, we
Yeah.
love tangents. That's what we're all about.
We started in Milan, and then we took a train down to Naples, and then drove back up.
Well,
good.
his son.
we did the 21.
Yeah.
That whatever that highway is.
I don't know it. I've only been once, but I'm going again this
Oh.
summer. So I just want to see.
Spencer
Rent a car.
loves. Spencer
Really?
Rent
loves
a car. Yeah,
All right.
I mean,
He loves fast cars. So that,
well, you kind of got to watch for a couple of days how they drive there, so that you can sort of get up to
Adapt.
speed.
right,
Yeah.
right. Be one with
Oh,
the
because I mean, it's
I'm scared. I'm scared to drive there. I just want to
No,
take the train.
yeah. Well, we took the high speed rail down to Naples, and then it was like, holy crap, when you're. Especially in Naples, my buddy told me before we went, he's like, if you get out of Naples alive, then you'll be all right.
If you get out alive, I love it.
So we rented a car at the airport.
And that's where
got
you
out.
started driving. Was in Naples.
Yeah, and we went into Rome, and we had this SUV with just packing bags and all that stuff, and all these little narrow streets. And we drove. I drove all the way in, and we parked maybe a 5-minute walk from the Vatican City.
Oh,
I just walked in,
awesome.
and after seeing the driving for a couple of days, it was I want to do this, and especially the drive up through Tuscany.
Yeah,
You're
that's
taking the back roads. You're taking the the non-toll roads.
right.
It's just gorgeous.
Yeah.
It's just unbelievable. So
Yeah.
anyway,
That's
that's our
I may do that. I may, because we're going to go to Tuscany, and I may drive, like you say, out in the countryside. But in Rome, last time I was in Rome, it was all smart cars, and the roads are real narrow, like you say, cobblestone. I don't know how you got an SUV through there, but God bless.
God
I don't
bless
either.
you.
I mean, I just saw other
Well,
SUVs.
you got out of Naples.
How many-
You made
how
it
many
out of
times?
Naples,
I
so
mean-
you're alive now. You didn't have to worry.
How many times did your life flash before your eyes?
No,
going down those
if you
roads?
see another SUV,
That's over.
you're like, I can do this. If that guy got in there, I can do it.
Well, what if
And-
you saw another SUV coming the opposite direction?
No.
That's
Everything is the opposite direction. There are no rules in any of those cities.
oh my god.
It's and the pedestrians just go. It's like,
They told you if you cross the
chaos.
street, don't stop. You step off the curb, you have to keep walking.
yep, that's right.
And the drivers will go around you, but if you stop, you're going to get
You're gonna get hit or cause an
Anyway,
accident.
back to baseball. Here we go. Back to
No,
baseball.
we like tangents. We're good.
Anyway,
Yeah,
yeah. So we were talking about baseball. weren't
we were at some point. Yeah,
No, okay, we were talking about managing parents, managing families, but this is really about the kids, right? And what I was going to say a second ago was I was thinking about this the other day, and my experience growing up is I remember the a-hole parents more than I remember, like, the sort of just in the woodwork parents. I had some coaches that to this day I have some sort of ill thoughts about. I mean, no, not like that, but just like, yeah, that was pretty shitty. He said that to me.
Well, and as you become an
to this
adult,
kid or
you
that
start
kid.
to realization of what that meant.
Yeah, but as far as this conversation goes, is these kids that we're working with, the families that were around in rec ball, even travel ball, is, the kids are going to remember, a lot of this stuff, and they're going to remember us,
right,
for better or worse. So
I think the you guys both have this happen to you, I'm sure. The best thing that could ever happen to someone that coached youth sports is when you're in the grocery store and some 6'3" kid comes up to you and says, "Hey, Coach Eric, Coach Jack, Coach Tim,"
Hey, Coach.
and they give you a big hug. You don't even know who
Coach.
they are, and then they remember me. I'm Billy from. Oh yeah, and it makes you know that you left a positive impression on them. That's a great feeling, and that's really everybody that's involved in youth sports should strive to want to have a positive impression on those kids, and keep those people in the organization and keep them rolling.
Well, if you manage because your kids, you're just there as a byproduct of your kid being there, then you're going to be fine. But if you're going in there thinking you're, going to change the world and
Well, part of the reason I started it with my son, it was after doing my daughter in softball, and I was watching. I wasn't the manager right away in softball, and I was like an assistant coach, and I was watching the way the coach was teaching the girls softball.
Right.
And it was a young age. They were like 6U, which 6 and under or whatever when she started, or 8U. And I remember this as clear as day. The girl hit a ground ball to shortstop, and he's telling the girl who hit it, who was on her, he says, "Run and turn and start going to second." And I said, "Shouldn't she be running through the bag? It's a ground ball to shortstop, like we know baseball." But he was about winning because he knew at that age the girl from shortstop is not going to make the throw, and you need to be on second or go running for third. And so I said, he's not teaching him the right way to play the game.
Right.
So when I brought my
That's a
son
great
over,
point.
I got involved, and I says, at least I'm going to make sure that you know how to play the game the right way. And that's when I started. And T-ball's hard because, like you say, they hit the ball and everybody's dogpiling, and you're just trying.
and then it's a foot race to first.
Right.
It's
But I got to tell you, after doing it for so many years, I miss those days.
Oh, yeah, those
where
are
I
the
go,
best
those
days.
kids were just, they didn't care. They're having a ball.
and even the parents
And
were
the
more
parents were
lighthearted.
great
They're
then.
all just with their phones.
It
and
wasn't
taking
until we
pictures.
moved, Tim, until you get it at Thousand Oaks Little League, you're playing T-ball and coach pitch up on like a soccer field.
Right.
So it doesn't matter. It feels
Doesn't
like
matter,
a pickup game at a park, and there's snacks after. When you get down to the hub and you're on a field with bleachers and there's umpire, like that is when the parents start going ballistic.
Oh yeah,
Right. That in where we met at Sunrise, it was single A.
Yeah.
So you had coach pitch and then single A, and that's when they start
giving out
standing.
championships and
But
standings.
that's
And,
they're keeping standings.
Right.
We had a couple of Uncle Ricos as other managers, and and it
Run through the bag.
well, and it's also just going to the rule book and having other kids like pulled out of the game.
Yeah.
Because you're trying to flip innings with these 9-year-olds, 8-year-olds.
You got to
and
make a mistake.
Yeah, well, a
or
couple
two.
kids go running into the bathroom or whatever. I want to get my stomach, and so you got to just put some kids on the field, and then all of a sudden the game stops.
And the rule book
comes out, and then they take kids out of the game.
Oh, he can't play or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
He's
You're violating Section C.
He already
of-
had his 2 innings in the
in the infield. Right.
He's
Hey,
ineligible to
I go, you know
continue,
what?
so.
Guess what? The eligible kid is peeing in the porta potty. So we just thought we'd keep the game moving along. That's all.
Right.
But
And-
I
Amazing.
totally agree with you. It's like as soon as the fence is there and there's bleachers, and then there's standings. There's this sort of made up thing that you're playing for, which is a championship.
And then you get the I versus the team, right? Like, oh yeah, I stomped so and so.
That's just it.
It's just ridiculous.
You got to make it about the boys. It's
Absolutely.
You got to make it, and you got to make it fun. You got to be positive. That's not to say you can't be. You can be strict. You You can also point out we did these positive coaching alliance. They made us do. I know a couple things I took from that. I thought they were very good. I didn't think we had to do it every year because once you do it, you kind of understand.
Kind of the same thing, right? Yeah.
They said, hey, the 5-to-1 ratio, and that was really big for me. Is you got to give the kid, excuse me, 5 positives to the 1 negative.
That's a great point.
So because they're kids, man, and if you come right out and be like you're doing it wrong or whatever, they're gonna just go like this.
Well, and our job, right, as coaches and managers, is to help these kids not only for them but for the league, help these kids want to come back. Right.
That's job number 1, I think.
Right. Yeah.
If they sign up for next year, you did your job as a coach.
Right.
That's
100%.
right. But that's encouraging them. That's the 5-to-1. That's running up. Hey man, I love the way you got in front of that ball. I love you made a great throw on that play. I love what you're doing. The energy's great. Next time, just come charge it a little bit. Don't sit back on it. Come get it. Okay. I love it. Let's go.
I love that, Jack. I had a kid that stopped the ball with his face by accident.
Said next time use the glove.
I said, hey man, I love how you stopped the ball. Just next time, glove instead of face. Yeah. And everybody, including the kid, was dying to laugh. And the umpire said, boy, I like your style. And I said, well, he did stop the ball. So we're heading in the right direction.
Preach effort and attitude.
Yeah.
That was my big thing too with the kids. Is I don't care how good you are. If you come out with a great attitude and you give me your best effort, which means you're trying, you can do no wrong with me as a coach.
Oh, agreed. Yeah.
So
agreed.
Yeah, I mean that kind of leads into this topic is playing time.
Yeah.
Little league playing time, club ball playing time. Everybody should play. I've had this conversation with other managers or even coaches that I was coaching with is, everybody signed their kid up. Everybody paid the same fee to get here. Everybody gets to play. I know that the regulations change as they get older as far as, innings on the infield and
well, I played there was this guy that we used to play against at Sunrise that would, once we got to majors, he would, you only have to play the players two defensive innings, right? And he would have his worst players only playing 2 defensive innings. And I would make sure all of our guys would play 4 innings. And I remember him saying to me, you don't have to do that. You could play. I go, you know what? I believe that win or lose, these kids should get the same experience. The stud should get the same as the kid that can't catch as well. And we beat him in the playoffs every year. And I was so happy, not because we won, but because we were putting out the right message to the families and the kids in the league that is you're here to play, not to watch. And as Tim said, everybody's paying equal dues, but also how does that kid feel after the game if he played 2 innings, everybody else played, the studs played 6 and the middle of the road guys played 4 and you only played 2. How does that make you feel? And we have to put ourselves in the kid's shoes when making those decisions.
Yeah, and I've seen Jack. I've seen your teams, and you play everybody.
That's
and
great.
You play everybody. At least it appeared.
No, I do. I think it's important, and the kid remembers, Tim. Like you can have a kid who's not great, and he might make 10 errors over a span of games, but he's going to make one play one time, and he's going to remember that forever.
Nagel.
And it will also boost his confidence that now he knows he can do that. Now, that being said, you also have an obligation, I believe, to the team, to the players on the team that you want to compete.
Oh, 100%.
So I don't want to maybe say, hey, if we're playing in the championship game or whatever, playoff game,
right.
I'm going to play the kid all season, but in that game, the kid's still going to play, but he's probably going to be a little less or a different position because I do want in that situation.
Right.
But over the year, I give these kids a chance. And I also want to put kids in a position to succeed. Right. I don't want to put a kid out there who's going to fail and fail miserably in a big spot.
You don't want to
because they're going to remember that as well.
Yeah, very true. Very
well,
good
if the kid has just got his glove, he's never played baseball, and he's 12. You're not going to throw him at first base right away,
right.
Unless he's, some, gifted prodigy that, hey, look what I can do. But who knew?
Who knew?
Those are the gems you find sometimes. You get a kid, literally, you get a kid in the 12th round, and no one knows him because he's new, and you're like, wow, this guy can play. He could have been a third rounder. And we've had that happen before.
Oh, for sure, yeah. Yeah, or they don't show up for evals, but you kind of know who they are, or maybe they're just, they don't show up for evals, and they come in and they're
good.
Yeah, and they're really good.
Yeah.
They played in some other league or something, and they come in.
Right.
Well, I know we had, that's how I would always get Eddie.
Right.
Because he would never show up.
And I always knew better.
Yeah, I always just kept my mouth shut.
Well, I need to get, that's where back to the rookie managers, right? 2 or 3 come here. Well, this kid didn't even try. He must not be any good. And you just hush up and hope for the best.
And then eventually, as you go through the divisions, once other coaches start poaching your lineup.
Well, once you get to majors, there's no more secrets, right? Everybody knows everybody every once in a while, but by that
Although you do have kids, and I've seen it happen, is that you have kids who are really good in Acorn 1, Acorn 2, and then they regress.
Yeah.
And then you got kids who I've seen this happen in Acorn 1, Acorn 2, and they are terrible, and they get really good, and now they're making an all-star team, and you're like, and that's the thing. Kids will develop at their own pace.
Right.
And so that's another reason why you want to play people. Mm-hmm. That's another reason why you want to have, and I think Toll's a great league. I think it can do better they don't have a fall ball program. To keep kids playing, okay?
Yeah.
And early on, when it's not sanctioned play and you have a lot of kids in those lower divisions, I believe that they should have, and I think they did it this year, multiple all-star teams. Because it doesn't matter. What you're doing is you're keeping kids playing baseball in your league. And if you don't, you're going to have the parents, and rightfully so. Listen, if there's only taking 12 kids, or whatever it is, 13 kids, and you got enough to have 26 kids, do it.
Right.
Because you're going to keep people involved and wanting to be there. And if you don't, they leave, and then...
Well, Sherman Oaks and Encino do a good job of that. They've got... I had...
Silver and gold.
Yeah, they have 3 or 4 different... he'll edit that out. We just had little sirens in the background.
We are in Southern California.
Sunday.
It's a Sunday. People, Sunday fun day, right? You'll go to brunch, have a margarita. Anyway, so they've got almost 3 levels, and I was the manager of the Sunrise All-Stars, and they say they want everybody that wants to play gets to play, and I think that's great. We don't have quite enough for 2 levels at Sunrise, but these guys have 3 levels at each league at Encino and Sherman Oaks. So shout out to those guys for letting everybody play.
Before it's sanctioned play, there's no reason not to have multiple teams.
Right. No reason. 100% agree.
And what happens when, that was kind of what we were talking about before you came in, was what happens, like you have relationships that all these kids come up together, and like you're saying, you have enough for like 2 all-star teams, How does that affect relationships and things like that when you're choosing those 12? Like in somebody that might have been on the all-star team, up until say they're 12, 11, and 12, and they just fell back. They're not really an all-star.
They don't make it the next year.
But the parents are assuming they're just going to be there.
So that's the big thing, is the parents. Again, back to the parents.
It's always going to come back.
But I will tell you is that at Thousand Oaks, you don't select the all-star team. The kids are nominated by the coaches, and then they are all voted on by all the other coaches for sanction play. The manager has like 2 spots or 3 spots that they get to pick to fill out the roster.
Right.
So I guess when you get to that point of it, that's when it might come into play, where a relationship might make the difference.
It might, yeah.
But I believe too, you're also trying to fill out a roster for what you need for that season to compete at that all-star level. So hey, if there's 3 kids available and I can only pick 2, what do I need on that team? Do I need exactly. Do I need another arm who can pitch? Do I need someone who can run, who's got speed? Do I need a bat? Do I need a left-handed bat? What do I need in that situation?
Because it's a puzzle. It's not just, parents will get mad and say my kid is better than that kid you picked. And we've all had those conversations.
I've lost friends.
I have too.
I've lost friends. And I've had terrible. The other side where I've had people who are understanding and get it. And so, I like that it's a vote in and all the coaches vote.
Sunrise does.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask.
Yeah, Sunrise does, and Tim and I were talking about this the other day.
They vote
last 2 years. Well, not only the kids get to vote.
Oh,
So
Their peers.
Let's say there's five
Right over there?
Yeah,
Well,
let's say
I don't know.
there's-
Do you get into like friends though? That's my buddy.
Well,
I'm
here's how
gonna
they
vote for my
weigh,
buddy.
Jack.
Yeah.
They have so let's say there's 6 managers and majors, right? Each manager and the coaches all get to vote, and so the kid vote is, so let's say that's 6 times 3 is 18, right? So there's 18 manager and coach votes, but then the kid vote is counted as the 19th vote, so it's the 19th. So it's not going to, and you'd be surprised
How accurate they are.
how accurate they
Well,
are.
the honesty, you know.
Right. This kid should be there. Right.
Well, we had
great.
a kid that led the league in home runs, but was defensively he wasn't up to par at any position, and he was one of my players too. And I'll tell you, his dad was furious with me because he knew I didn't tell him how I selected, but I didn't select him. I'll be honest with that now. And I said, look, he hit home runs. If I'm reviewing it off of the 3rd and 4th best pitcher on every team, he never hit them off the aces. So he's never going to hit them
off
of that. And
He's a really big kid.
yeah, he's a really
He's
big
like
kid.
a man among boys, and you just swing that lumber. and
Right,
he's like,
right. He was
just-
swinging the lumber,
it's gonna
and
go.
That's all he could do.
when he got to higher competition, we moved over to West Hills, and I drafted him because I liked the kid a lot, but he had 2 hits the whole season, right? So, and we had the conversation later, and now we're fine, but that was a tough conversation, and I thought I lost a friend over that, but
Wags, Westlake All-Star, or Westlake girls softball.
yeah,
They
that's the one over off of what's that street? I forgot what.
Lindero or
Lindero,
Westlake.
I think it's off Lindero.
They for their All-Star selection is they have a committee of parents outside that aren't parents of the kids there, that they watch the games and they vote on the All-Star team. So it has nothing to do with coaches or families. It's
That's
completely objective. Like, these are the best 13 by this committee from what they see, with no bias.
Smart.
Again, I
There's probably a bazillion ways to do it, and none of
There
them are
is.
going to be perfect.
nothing's perfect.
Yeah.
You get, and I think the way Toll does it is good. I do. And sanction play is tough because you only get 12 kids, and there's
Right.
and even if you got 13, there's going to be there's always that kid on the cusp who he could be there. But you have to draw the line at 12 or at 13 or at 14, whatever the number is.
Right.
You have to.
You just do.
Because that's the rule. You have to.
I think the hardest part is when that scenario we talked about, I had that come up where 2 of the kids, it was right after the COVID years, 2 of the kids that were all-stars were not all-stars. They were all-stars at 11, but not at 12. And the reason was now those kids, some of those studs came back and were playing, and I knew that was going to happen. Both sets of parents said, do you think my kid's going to be an all-star? And I told them, honestly, I don't think so. I only have a little bit of the vote, but I'm telling you, based on the kids that came back, it's not likely. And one of the reasons was they were planning a vacation, and I just had to be honest with them. I don't see it happening. And I kind of talked to the other managers just to help this family know if they should plan their vacation or not. It was tough, but you do what you got to do.
As much as I love coaching, I did not like all-star coaching.
The worst.
It was too.
I was wondering about
It
that.
was too. It was just too much for me. I really enjoyed the rec ball. I enjoyed the Bulldogs, a travel team ball. I enjoyed all that. But the All Stars with the formality and the rules and the having to deal with it all, I just. I'm so happy it's over. I don't have to do
it's
it
so
anymore.
funny that you bring up the Bulldogs. That's actually our next topic we wanted to ask you about. Talk to us a little bit about the Bulldogs and how it represents the league, how it affects the league.
Yeah, so from what I understand, and it was brought to my attention by Alan Thompson, who was the former president before Chris, and it was Bulldogs was started from these all-star family teams that wanted to keep their boys playing after the all-star season ended. They wanted to keep those boys together, right? So they play all-stars, was it June through July or August if you're lucky, and then it shuts down. Well, what they wanted to do was keep those teams together, so they started the Thousand Oaks Bulldogs. It would be that all-star team, and they would continue to play August, September, October, November.
Right.
Shut down, come back. And so that the next year for all-star team, they were more cohesive. They had this extra time playing. So that's how it originated. Great, love it. As you see now, what happens? People defect.
Yes.
People go. So I said, listen, you need to open this thing up to not just the All-Star, but to whoever wants to come try out for Bulldogs, because all you're doing is keeping them involved, developing players, and you might find the next kid who's going to make the All-Star team through this program. Which, by the way, we did.
10-minute tryout. It's
right. They're getting some development, and they're playing with the better kids, and they're getting the reps. And you're playing in a travel league, which we all know it's a step up. The competition.
That's right.
It's funny. It was started really with the Bulldogs, but then Sherman Oaks had a team out of their little league called the Sharks, or the Flying. Well, first it was the Sharks, then the Flying Tigers, or vice versa, and then that made Encino and Sunrise and Northridge all have teams. So now, once that was established and every league had their own kind of travel team, then we'd have tournaments just against each other, even if no one was holding a tournament.
Great.
And so, and then these would happen during the summer when it wasn't. It wasn't All-Star season. It was after All-Star season, so that they could keep playing, and that just kind of carried on through. And most of these leagues now do have a team like the Bulldogs.
That's what we know about baseball too. It's all about getting reps, especially at that young age. You got to keep playing. You got to get out there and do it. We were very bad. Hey, we were really bad.
If you could see his face,
But I will tell you, I'm so proud of those boys because we got good. And we competed, and by the time we went to Cooperstown, we were competing with some great teams. We won some games, and if that would have happened 2 years ago, it would have been a completely different story.
The
hard work, quiet plane ride back.
The hard work pays off.
It does, and we know baseball's a game of failure, right? Not like other sports.
Well, yeah, and just to your point, they played together for many years together. Maybe some came in and left, or but they're ready to go by the time you're 12. By the time you're 11, 12, and you're like this nice little well-oiled machine.
Once they started winning, they got their confidence. And that was the one thing they were missing, was their confidence. Okay? But it's a funny thing. You don't have confidence unless you win, and you don't win unless you have confidence.
It's right.
So going through
chicken and the egg theory.
Right. Going through the growing pains and learning and failing was so instrumental in that team blossoming and getting their confidence and having a little swagger. And it was so great as a coach. To watch the arc, it was like one of the most rewarding things for me as a little league and a coach in youth baseball.
That's beautiful thing.
It was awesome. So I hope other coaches can experience that. I hope you're not just stuck on one end. You either win all the time or lose all the time. You have to have the whole spectrum. It's great.
That's true. I wanted to pick your brain on that note of travel ball, rec ball. Tim and I always come across this topic, right? We talk about it ad nauseum, but how do you feel? What's your opinion on playing year round, and when kids when should they take a break, and how long should they take a break in your opinion as a dad and as a coach?
Yeah, as a coach and a dad, because I'm sure Nick has other things he wants to do.
Okay, so right now
there's other things to do.
Right now, Nick's on a break. We got back from Cooperstown in August, and he hasn't played any baseball since August. Yeah. And it's the first time really since, I don't want to count T-ball and coach pitch.
Yeah, that's not.
But getting into that Acorn 2 season where they're
putting some torque on the arm.
They're like 9, yeah. And my son's a pitcher too,
right. All three of our sons.
Right, so you have to rest that. Now, thing is, everyone that I've talked to and I hear talk, like when we had Mark DeRosa.
Right.
Okay, he was our spokes guy at All-Star Village in Cooperstown. He said, "Listen, growing up, it was baseball season. We played baseball. Then it was football season. We played football. We put the baseball away. Then it was they played all different sports." When they came to Mike Sosha, same thing. Mm-hmm. Philadelphia Key says, hey, baseball was baseball. That's all we did. When it was over, we put it away. We never touched it. These are guys who went high level.
Right.
So the more I'm hearing that is, hey, they do need a break, not only physically, but mentally.
Right.
Mentally. That being said, you let their arm heal. They're going to come out, I think, throw stronger. They're going to just have a break, and when they come out, they're ready to go again. They're not burnt out. Some kids who are really good that play year-round get burnt out.
Yeah.
And then by high school, they don't want to play anymore.
It's true.
And you know who's making them play year-round?
The parents.
And these people that are
The money,
putting
that's
together
it.
these club
That's
teams
it.
with the promise of development and
And
better-
winning tournaments.
yeah, and
With the Cracker Jack ring.
Right.
and it's all this marketing that you need to just do it, play year round, never take a break because your enemy's out there working, this whole.
Well, there's a kid, my older boy, he's 13, and his friend, he said, hey, you want to go hit? And he said, well, I'm taking the next 2 weeks off because holiday break just started for LAUSD. And he's like, no, I don't deserve a break. I didn't hit well enough in the last tournament. And I told him, I said, well, that's his dad saying that that's not him.
Right.
He no kid would say that of his own volition. He would have some adult telling him. And I had the kid in my car because someone was going to ride home. And I said to the kid, we'll call him Billy. That's not his name.
Yeah.
I said, look,
Billy the Kid.
I said, you know who takes breaks? I said Shohei Ohtani, Mike Trout,
Aaron
Bryce
Judge.
Harper, Aaron Judge.
Got to get a Yankee name in there.
You got to.
He
right?
only takes breaks when he's hurt.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, there's her one.
So I said, and if you talk to these guys, you watch them interviewed, the importance of the mental and physical reasons to take a break. So I said, you need to take a break.
And what do you take? You're taking 2 months, 3 months.
Right.
You're not taking a year off.
Right.
And I think part of the problem is a lot of these parents want their kids to get scholarships or want them to go so far, or they're only playing one sport. They don't do anything else, which I also think is a problem. Like, listen, go do multiple things.
Right.
You're 8, 9, 10, 11.
And there's ways to do multiple things too. For example, my 13-year-old, he plays in an intramural football league at his middle school. It's fine. They have a season. They have a championship. It's flag football. It doesn't interfere with because he's in his head all he could do is baseball, right? But I told him to try it, and he loves it.
And I'll tell you, if he's throwing the football, it's going to build arm strength for when he
Absolutely.
throws the baseball.
Absolutely.
And if he's running routes as a receiver, it's going to help him run in the base pads.
And it makes school more enjoyable too. You got something to look forward to. And I, stretching out different muscles too.
That's right.
Different
Things
muscle
you
groups.
learn in other sports will translate and help you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, even the strategies, even the, you might be playing football or basketball and something clicks mentally about the competitiveness of it that you can carry over into other sports. Like Spencer really took a turn by doing martial arts.
Yeah.
He got confident, and he also was like, oh yeah, you can fake people out. You can,
Yeah,
you
right,
can,
right.
You can, work on this move and this is going to happen, the whole dominoes fall sort of mentality. And
Martial arts is great, man. I got my black belt when I was 19, but it taught me that confidence and discipline.
Mm-hmm.
Those are two big things.
Yeah, that was one of the reasons we asked Spencer to do that. And we had some friends that were doing it. He didn't want to do it, but Spencer has always had a confidence. He needs that little. He needs a boost,
Right.
from
or lack thereof, and now it's coming out of the show.
he doubts himself a lot, and he completely. He was bigger than all those kids anyway, so it was like Kramer going.
He's
in.
taller than me. How tall is he now?
I'm dominating.
He's 5'11" now.
Yeah,
so,
I would have guessed 6 foot, but
He might be 6. I don't know.
think
I mean,
he's 6 foot.
He's gonna be taller
I got
than
to
that,
do
too.
this to put my arm around
Yeah.
him. So
He's a big kid. He's be tall.
lanky.
Yeah,
Thank
that's
you.
good for a pitcher.
Oh yeah.
His fingers are like half his hand or fingers.
He's a
He can
big
spin
kid,
that
man.
ball,
He's-
man.
yeah,
But
he's got
he
the
can, but his thing right now is speaking of other sports is F1. He wants
Well,
to.
that's what they did. They visited the Ferrari museum, didn't you?
That was one of the reasons. That was one of the things that were on the schedule was to go to the.
It's
Ferrari.
so funny. My kids are all into F1 right now.
Are you kidding?
It's so funny you said that. They know all the drivers. And
Oh,
all
I know,
the
yeah.
names. I'm like, what do you got? Like,
The drivers are on first name basis. He's like, well, Richard Hamilton. Richard Hamilton. I know all these guys too, and I was like, I would have, since I was a kid in the '70s, my dad watched it.
Right.
After that, I have no idea who's been racing, and now I know everybody.
I went to the Long Beach
Like
Grand
you're
Prix in '94, years and years ago. And
So you know what we're talking about, right?
no, I do. I think
94.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, no, it was, but it's amazing to see how freaking fast those cars are. It's like you're like I would kill myself driving that thing. I would, no way.
Oh yeah, we go up to Monterey Car Week every year, and last year we did the reunion at Laguna Seca, and you're standing right there, and these cars are coming around. Yeah, and then
the rev of the engine, man.
Well, the
It's a rush.
sound
It's
is
a rush.
unbelievable.
Yeah,
the
it's
rush.
it's like the only thing I can equate it to is if you've ever gone to like an air show, that sound of the engine roar, but it's very similar, honestly.
Right, the speed, the sound, and we were like
Ground
behind
is
this,
shaking.
this chain link fence or whatever, and I go, and we were on a corner. I'm like, this fence is not going to hold that
no
car.
way.
Somebody comes around that corner, and I'm like looking for the
5,000
exit,
pound race car comes through
but
there.
he was taking, we had paddock access, so we're going right up to these cars. You got to
so
go
cool.
up in Nicky Lauda's car. That's his favorite driver from back in the day, and
That's awesome.
yeah,
This is what these kids have. They have a passion for other things
And that's okay.
rather than baseball.
He's
It's
actually-
more than okay. We as parents
We
and
should encourage
coaches,
that, yeah.
that's exactly right. Instead of saying no, you can't take a break because you didn't hit well this season.
Years ago,
You know what I mean?
Years ago, one of the kids had a birthday party at Magic Mountain, and my son, who's a very diehard baseball guy, he wouldn't go because we had a game. I'm like, you got to go, man. You got to go. So I forced him to go. I said, I'm not going to let you on the field. You got to go to your friend's birthday party, and he had a freaking ball.
Good.
And I told him, life is going to pass you by. There's going to be other baseball games, but your friend's only going to turn 10 one time, and you get to go to Magic Mountain for free and have a blast. And so it's so important for them to do other things, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be interesting if Nick and Spencer are on the same team. It's all going to be F1, right?
Right.
They're going to pull up.
Spencer's got
Hey,
his...
we'll have a good pitching staff.
Yes.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And they'll be able to hit, too, a little bit. So
I have a question for you.
Nick's
Jack.
a good hitter.
What was your absolute?
You know what? I enough for what I saw. I mean,
What was your absolute favorite memory from Cooperstown? Give it to me. I'll share with you what mine was after you tell me yours. You first.
and I'll just sit here and just...
And Tim will just sit there
this
and
might
moderate.
this might be a little selfish, but for me personally, I think it was just getting to go to the Hall of Fame with my son. Like that was such a great moment to see. I don't have you when you.
Oh,
went,
yeah, no,
you saw the
100%,
you saw the movie,
Yeah. Oh, the movie will
and I
bring.
started
If that
crying,
doesn't bring tears to your eyes,
and I got to tell you,
oh my God,
everyone should experience that. And it was for me
the Lou Gehrig section of the film was just
the whole thing. It was
God.
phenomenal. But as far as playing the games, it was a grind. Staying in the bunks, it was a grind, but it was fun. I wouldn't trade it for the world. The kids had a great time. It was fun. But going to the Hall of Fame with your son, for me, was the icing on the cake.
I'm gonna say twofold. The first one was absolutely the Hall of Fame. Sitting there with both of my boys, my younger one and my wife, we all went together, and watching the movie and watching even the little one, who was probably 5 or 6 at the time, just glued to the TV.
He's going to be a bigger problem than your older kid.
Oh,
when it
God,
comes-
yeah,
when it
he's
comes
the
to
youngest
baseball.
one.
Yeah, he's even more. If it's possible to be more of a nut than my older one, Dante. Jeremy is definitely.
He's a candidate for that.
Yeah,
so.
he can't play wiffle ball without there being a score and a pitch count.
He's competitive.
Yes. Oh God,
Good.
it's disgusting.
What's your
But-
second? Tell me your
and
second.
the second one is involving the two boys. Dante walks up first at bat, right? And it was raining, but it was barely raining. You know how that weather in Cooperstown can just shift.
Great.
And he told his little brother, "I'm coming up to bat," and he goes, "Oh," and he's on the fence hanging there. Hit a home run for me, Dante. First pitch, crack. Looks over at his brother and points to him.
Love it.
Right over the fence, and then him and because we had about 4 or 5 siblings with us that age, they just sprinted, got the ball in the rains. I got your ball, Dante, and it was just me and my wife were like almost in tears. It was
It's a little
special
movie
moment.
I love it.
That he hit it for his brother, and he went and
On
got
call, he says, "Hit me a home run." He does it, and there you go.
It points at him.
I love it.
And
Well, for Dante, your first game in Cooperstown,
First
after
first
the
pitch.
whole the whole build up to getting there and all
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
And it's
right.
like, are we going to be good enough? And are we, all the things you go through when you're thinking.
Yeah.
first pitch too. It just
All these kids wanted to hit a home run. We had about 3 or 4 kids hit a home run. My son did not. He was hitting good in the rec ball season, and then he went in a slump. He did not hit well in Cooperstown at all. But he pitched a gem. One game, he pitched a really good game. He pitched like 1 run, 6 innings. It was great.
Awesome. He had really good memories for that. A great time.
Yeah, I mean, just being with the teammates, with his friends at this point. They've been together so long.
Oh, right, right.
You know what I mean? It was.
You guys get lockers and everything out there too, right? The kids got their own I
don't know. I didn't stay in the bunks because I was just a parent.
There's no lockers. That place was a pigsty.
Which were you at?
Shit everywhere.
What are the two places? All Star Village and
Dream Park.
We were at Dreams Park. I think. Yeah,
we did All Star Village because they had air conditioning.
Well, I think when my little one goes, we're going to do All Star Village because there's also like amenities that are a little bit better there.
So Cal Ripken is running it now with the owner or one of the owners from the Washington Commanders,
right?
And they're putting a lot of money into it.
Yeah, I heard that.
I think over the next, I don't know, 8-10 years, it's going to be
well. And the other places go in the opposite direction. They're not putting enough money into it, or so it seems.
Cal Ripken, man, he's definitely
great for baseball.
Oh yeah,
yeah. That was the first my first team managing was a T-ball team, the Rockies.
Yeah,
and when they asked me to manage, I was like, oh my God, wow. I went and bought the Cal Ripken book. That was the first thing I did, and I read that, and that's kind of been.
Ripken baseball, man. Yeah. I think Billy Ripken has a lot of online too drills that I actually got for the young kids.
Right.
Just footwork, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. Those guys, they're really great.
Really
for just putting resources out there for not only the kids but the adults. And then the whole mentality part of it, which falls into what we're talking about. It's a game. It's a, you got to rest your brain, rest your body.
Right.
So like you said, game of failure.
Yeah, what in what other sport can you shoot a basketball and make 30% of your shots? You'll never even make a high school team, right? But here you're a Hall of Famer, right?
That's right.
So it's just knowing that failing 70% of the time is good versus all other sports, right? Can't complete 30% of your quarterback passes and think you're a good quarterback either. So just to give folks route.
So. Like the experience in Cooperstown, let's reel that back into the local level. And you and Phil did like Friday Night Lights, right?
Yep.
All right.
We did, when our first experience with Friday Night Lights was fantastic. It was like every league should do that. Was that something that was happening before you got there, or did you just kind of volunteer to take that over, or?
They kind of just said that they needed someone to do that and kind of piggybacked it with the equipment manager job because that's, not too difficult. So we were like, all right, listen, we'll do it.
You don't have much responsibility. Why don't you take this?
You got nothing going on.
But it's a great thing. And the kids absolutely love it.
Right.
I'm sure the little kids love it, but more so the kids who get to play the game. It is the highlight of their total experience from what we've seen. And, it's 2 years we did it, and we had to run the pitch, hit, and run, the MLB pitch, hit, and run that we did before.
Right.
It's a great opportunity to get the whole league out there to participate, and then you have that sense of community, and then bringing those little kids up to warm up with the bigger kids and kind of see, hey, if you stay in the league, this can be you doing this one day under the lights. And so it's very powerful.
Yeah, and at that age, the little kids, I mean, when the 12-year-olds, 11, 12-year-olds are like full adults to these T-baller kids, it's like they make heroes. That season, having like some of the T-ballers or coach pitch kids, like they're surrounding the older kids and they're asking for autographs and stuff like that.
That's so cool.
It's special. And my son was lucky enough to be on both ends of it. He was the younger kid
very cool.
doing it, and then he was the bigger
Super
kid
cool.
doing it to kind of pay it forward.
That's awesome.
But the environment, besides the generators like in your ear, it's like there's nothing like baseball under the lights.
No,
and that's part of the experience these kids really love.
Yeah, it gives it that major league feel.
Right.
It really does.
Right. That's what it is right there. Right?
It's the vibe. The air is cool. The grass just has a different
different
sort of thing to it. And
Right. Well, to me, that's the mixing of the two worlds, right? You get the MLB feel because of the lights and the cool grass and the everything that goes along with playing at night, but you still don't. It does. the community aspect from what you get from Little League is there, and it's all together, and that's what makes it so
There's
cool.
some pageantry involved.
Well, and the thing
too,
is, because it's the only game going on, so usually there's all the fields are busy, but on Friday Night Lights,
It's one field.
is the game, and you have everyone from all across divisions, especially the younger teams are there. They're all there to watch the game. Now, the real young ones, they got to take them home because it's late.
It's late.
That's what we did. But with,
I remember that,
yeah, that's great.
We had one of our, I think it was Coach Pitch kids. Like he was our bat boy for the whole game.
that's so
Everybody else left,
That's
but
very
he
cool.
was serious too.
He wasn't
man.
sleeping by the fourth.
No, he was into it. He had his helmet on. He'd run out there and grab the bat, and he's making. He was serious. He was like, he was the big responsibility for him.
Love that passion.
Yeah, and after the game, during the game, we asked all the kids to sign the baseball, and we gave them a little signed baseball to take home after doing that.
So cool.
That's
so
what it's
cool.
about right there. That kid's coming.
Awesome.
That kid came back and played next year. I
I'm
bet.
sure he did.
Right?
Oh yeah. I tell you, something about the lights being under the stars, with those generators. But that's part of the experience too, right? The generators.
Well, not if you're trying to
Not when they're right behind the dugout and you're breathing in those fumes the whole game.
and it's also by the fourth inning, and you're trying to think through all of this. You're still trying to manage a baseball game, and all the kids and the generator in your ear. And you're like,
That's the one game too. You just kind of let, especially the second year 12-year-olds, the second year major kids. If you got to let them get an inning of pitching. We try to pitch all our pitchers because that's a one-time thing under the lights.
Mm-hmm.
You want to give them an opportunity. So we Philip and I kind of talked about, okay, listen, we did 2 years of majors, so they had 2 opportunities. The first year we let all the second year major guys, they got to pitch.
Right.
Not our pitchers who were 11. We're going to play majors again next year
'cause they're gonna have their
because they're going to get it next year.
so you let them go.
So
The opportunity to stand out there in the middle, and
that's right, because that's the only time they're going to get to do that.
That's awesome.
It's such a short window, guys. I mean, these kids, and that's what kind of gets me too with the parents. It's like, you don't understand. It's from like 6 or 7 years old to 12 or 13 is the window.
It is the window.
Poof, it's
It
gone.
is, and you'll not get that opportunity to spend that amount of quality time with your son, daughter, and their friends again. So let's close with. I want to love to get a closing remark from everybody on if you could
Before you
say,
go, that last thing you just said about with their friends,
Yeah.
like now, like when I see these kids, and I'm not that far removed from
Right.
it, but I know a lot of the kids at the
Right.
middle school. I know,
Right.
so I see these kids
Yes.
and they still have a, hey, and they say, hey, coach, like you said.
Your coach
and it's like,
for life.
right.
And
But it's just great knowing
plus
all
these kids that you've known since they were piling
Yes,
up on each other
right,
and
right.
T-ball and all
To
that.
watch
And
them
now
grow, and
they're like young men.
they're like young men. Yeah,
And it's
crazy.
like, we came out to TO from Sunrise, but a lot of those kids that I remember from Sunrise were on the same club team that they all played.
Yeah,
on. And these are kids that I hadn't seen, and they're walking in, their voices are all deep, and they're all,
6 feet tall.
they got their phone out, they're
They went through the
girlfriend.
change. They went through the change.
Angelo and Angelo, his girlfriend would always
Yeah,
be
his
there.
girlfriend comes to the games, right? And Dante, my son, he broke up with his girlfriend. I'm like, what'd you do that for? He's like, I told her I don't have enough time to hang out with you and do baseball. And I said, kid, you're all right. So let's just kind of go around and get closing remarks or advice to parents that aren't involved and want to get involved. Why don't you go first, Jack?
Well, now that you're retired,
Yeah.
I mean, I think if you can get involved, you should, because like I said, it is such a short window, and the time spent is valuable, invaluable. And it was a special time for me and my son, and I realized when it was time for me to stop,
Right.
which I think is another important point for
is.
other parents and coaches to know. And yeah, I don't know, just don't be a dick.
Closing remarks from Jack.
I mean, I just gotta
Do
say,
not be a
like,
dick.
yeah, it's like your kids there to have fun, and I got news for you guys. As good as they may be,
Very
they're
few are
not
gonna-
going anywhere.
Right,
I love you, but they're not going anywhere.
Well-
So have fun, play the game, develop, and listen. If it happens, that's awesome, great. But don't make it the end all be all. Let your kid have a childhood and let them enjoy the game. And if they have a passion for the game, they will do well and go farther.
Right.
But let them have the passion.
Right.
Don't let it be your passion.
Right. Agreed.
which is tough sometimes, because if you growing up loving baseball, it's I have to really be able to be aware of that line of not talking too much baseball at home.
Right.
He's got his own interests and
see what they want to talk about.
Right. Well, Spencer, it's going to be pretty quiet
Right.
for half an hour.
I gotta tell you
he
something.
He doesn't like to talk.
Before I get your final statements, Tim, on what advice you would give to parents. Tim comes back from Italy, and has lived with Spencer his whole life, right? And he said, the trip was fun. I go, yeah, how so? And he said, I actually really got to know Spencer.
He came out of his shell a little bit,
Well, you're in the car with him driving from Naples to
for those
Rome.
of us that know Spencer, okay, it made sense to me. But if you didn't know Spencer's personality, it would make you laugh. Like, what do you mean you got to know your own son, right?
Yeah, but it was true. That was
funny.
an honest thing I said to it. As soon as it came out of my mouth, I started laughing too.
He laughed before I did, and I said, "Man, that's funny." But those of us that know Spencer know he's a man of carefully picked words, right? So,
all joking aside, though, that's an important moment.
No, it is.
Life is knowing
it is
your son and listening,
right,
or daughter, whoever's your child.
Yeah,
and so that's a big thing.
Oh no, it was awesome, and to your point about it being a short window, or is these guys are 12, 13, 14. We're going to be, their own lives are ahead of them.
I need some money, Dad.
Well, yeah, but it's like, hanging out with your parents is going to, we were all there.
Right.
It's just, they're going to start.
I haven't. My daughter's 15.
Oh, well, yeah, you're already there.
Up in a room. This is what it is. So the window is closing, and I know he's next, and pretty soon she's going to be off to college, and it'll be me and my wife again, empty nesters.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Then I'll be playing softball in the 65 and over league
on
Tuesdays at 12 noon,
rolling up in our wheelchairs to practice.
And then everybody goes to the early bird lunch at Denny's afterwards, and or it's going to be dinner at that point.
You can hear those sirens in the background. They're coming to take one of us away for limping or something. Any closing remarks, Tim?
Yeah, don't be a dick. I mean, thank you, Jack. I mean, we've all had those parents on our team, but it's like if you're gonna complain and you're not volunteering,
right?
And like you're saying, we're volunteers, and I've gotten it from parents over the years who don't get that. They think we should be John Wooden, or
Tommy Lasorda,
Casey Stengel out there. Right. It's like, no, we're volunteer. The only reason I managed was because I said yes, empty-mindedly. Right. I'm signing Spencer in for evals. Would you be able to manage? Yeah, sure. Where's a sticker? And I put a sticker on, and I didn't think of it until I got that call, and then I'm like, oh crap.
Right.
I want to see. I'm curious how I'm going to do in the stands this year because I've always only been there coaching.
I think because you've been coaching, you'll do fine.
I think so.
You know what it's like on the other side.
Yeah, but hopefully you get a good manager. Because we sit. No, I've done that 2 years now where I'm just watching. And the 1 year was the COVID year, and we're all in the outfield.
That was a great year to be a manager, though.
Oh, I bet. I was going to say that was probably great for you guys.
No parents around. It was wonderful.
So we're sitting way out there, and Spencer had gotten on a team that just was not going to play him. And the kids that,
which is ridiculous.
Well, the kids that came before, the guys that aged out last year. Remember the 10s that won the state champ? There was a lot of good players in that age group. But it was predetermined by that manager that he wasn't going to play any younger kids, except his own. And so you're sitting out there and you're just watching your kids sitting in the dugout for 5 of the 6 innings.
Oh,
eating at you.
That's ridiculous.
That one was tough. Other than that, I love sitting there. Our kids play on the same club team, or they did.
Yep.
And all the parents just, John, just talking about baseball. And that was one of the things we talk about by doing this was, let's take that conversation in the stands and bring it in front of some mics.
Right. Yep.
But what was the question again, Eric?
Just closing remarks for advice to parents. And you mirrored what Jack said. You said, don't be a dick.
Yeah, don't be a dick.
I think we can all agree on that one.
Yeah, we can.
I thought you might edit that out, but now
we don't edit that.
Now it's gold.
No. just enjoy your kid's childhood, you know.
Yeah.
Watch your kid running around with other kids. Takes me back to when I was running around with other kids, you know, and I just grin. I smile. It makes me happy to see him running around just being a kid.
What did I tell you the other day? So my youngest one is 9. When he was maybe 7.5, 8, the sprinklers accidentally came on in the middle of a game, and it was a fall ball game, so it was really freaking hot. And someone said, "Go get him, turn them off." And I said, "No." I said, "These games don't count for anything. Let them have their moment." And so in addition to don't be a dick, I would say, remember it's a game, and these are kids, and don't ever forget that. And the advice I would tell the parents to their kids and coaches that coach these kids is this. And you've heard me say this before, Tim, but I always say to the kid, hey, don't ever let somebody tell you what you can't do. Show them what you can do, and just don't quit, you know. And that goes to the coaches rotating players. And like you said, Jack, you never know who's going to be good this year from year to year. And just always remember it's a fresh season, a new season, and give every kid a shot.
I second that.
Yeah.
And just not in baseball, but just in
general.
Being an adult.
Yeah.
In general, when you see kids, you were a kid once.
That's right. Made mistakes.
We all came up like they did. We all, you know, whatever growing pains or, you know, just whatever they go through, we went through, you know, in our own path.
Right.
And if I'm sitting there, you know, I hear some adults say, "Oh, I hate kids." You know, it's like, you were a kid.
Right.
And, you know, oh, they're stupid kids. What? You know, don't call them, you know, we were all there. So don't be a dick, Eric.
Let's close with that.
Tim, I was never stupid.
Well, I'm not saying you, Jack.
I know.
We'll close with
said we were all there.
Say that one more time.
No. When they call them,
mean.
when they call them stupid kids, it's like, no, they're not stupid to begin with. They're just, you know,
they're just kids.
They might do some dumb things, but I can tell you, I did some really dumb things.
It's learning and growing, and that's life. So.
And to close, we're gonna have Jack say it one more time. What's that advice? That one-liner for the parents?
Oh, don't be a dick.
Okay. Yeah. And with that, everybody, thank you, Jack, for being on the Third to First podcast.
Absolutely.
And
it's a lot of
you know,
fun.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
We'd love to have you on again. You know, it's just 3 guys shooting the shit talking baseball.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. Make sure to visit our website.
Go Yanks.
And we're out.